Welcome to Crime Maze. In this video we are going to talk about the 5 people who went missing, but found alive years later. So before starting this video, like this video, and subscribe to Crime Maze YouTube channel for future updates. Have you ever pondered what happened to persons who went missing and were later discovered alive? You'd be shocked how frequently something like this occurs. It's always a heartbreaking and terrifying occasion when someone goes missing. The person's loved ones are filled with dread and fear as they try to figure out what happened. Too often, they are forced to give up and pronounce the person deceased due to the passage of time. Consider how surprised and relieved they will be when that long-lost loved one reappears. We can only imagine how that feels, but at the very least, we can hear their experiences. Here are the top 5 people that went missing and were later discovered alive. Number 5. Michele Whitaker. Michele Whitaker was last seen on August 16, 2002, in Spartanburg, South Carolina. She vanished after being dropped off by a friend at a truck stop, and she hasn't been seen or heard from since. Police questioned her friend who dropped her off at the truck stop, and after passing a polygraph, he was ruled out as a suspect. Michele had recently been arrested for a DUI, and she had been arguing with her mother about it. She vanished after being accidentally released from jail early, instead of attending court-ordered drug and alcohol rehab. Checks on her credit report and social security number, according to authorities, revealed no activity for years after her disappearance. Investigators suspected Whittaker was targeted at the truck stop, but there was no evidence to back up their suspicions. One of Michele's co-workers, Heather Sellers, 21, went missing a month after she vanished. Jonathan Vick, her boyfriend, was already a suspect in an unsolved 1995 rape and murder case when police arrived. Vick's missing person case became a homicide investigation once authorities identified the relationship between Vick and Michele Whitaker. 6 years after Michele vanished, in the summer of 2008, a woman was watching an episode of Forensic Files that highlighted Jonathan Vick's murder conviction. Michele explained to her family that she had vanished because she wanted to start a new life. In 2006, a woman with the same name, date of birth, and social security number lived in Victorville, California, according to public data. Number 4. Chioma Gray. Chioma Gray, a teen who went missing and was subsequently found alive, is another situation where a missing individual was discovered alive. Chioma Gray, 15, was last seen on December 13, 2007 in Ventura, California. She vanished after leaving high school in the automobile of an older man. Chioma Gray was left off at Buena High School in Ventura by her father and brother on December 13, 2007. Gray was unable to be seen when her mother came at the school at 3:00 p.m. to pick her up. She never attended to class, according to school officials, and her friends had not seen her. Gray's family had reported her missing to the Ventura Police Department at 5:30 p.m. Tafoya had just been released from jail the night before Gray went missing. According to investigators, he had completed 147 days of a 210-day sentence on a lesser offense of illicit sex. Tafoya was sentenced to 3 years of probation, with the requirement that he not have any contact with Gray or any other juvenile without the presence of a responsible adult. A 2008 white Acura with the California license plate 6AXX928 was reported stolen from an auto lot in Ventura. According to police, Tafoya worked as a car washer at the dealership and was last seen driving that particular vehicle earlier that morning. A surveillance camera at Buena High School showed a car matching the stolen vehicle's description pulling up to the school on the day of Chioma Gray's disappearance, at roughly 1:20 p.m. The stolen car's license plate number was checked as it crossed the Mexican border. Tafoya allegedly picked up Chioma Gray from her high school that morning and drove her to Mexico in the stolen automobile. According to investigators, the case was initially investigated as a felony involving child stealing, contributing to a minor's delinquency, car theft, and unauthorized flight to evade punishment. A private investigator hired by the family discovered the stolen car parked in a compound in Acapulco, a tourist city in southern Mexico, with flat tires in 2010. He also figured out where the couple lived and worked. Gray worked as a waiter at a little holiday area, while Tafoya taught snorkeling. Andrew Joshua Tafoya was sentenced to 2 years in jail on January 23, 2012, after pleading guilty in November 2011 to one felony count of concealing a child from her parents. Chioma, who married Tafoya while they were in Mexico, was believed to have been living with his parents since their return in October 2011. Number 3. Judith Bellows. Judith Bellows, a 28-year-old married mother of two, was last seen leaving her employment at the National Food Corporation in Silvana with a friend at 9:30 a.m. On December 13, 1993, she failed to pick up her son from daycare and never returned to her Stanwood, Washington, home in the 19800 block of Saratoga Drive. Later that day, her car was discovered abandoned at the Stanwood post office, sparking an almost two-decade-long investigation. After finding her missing persons profile on the sheriff's office website in 2011, Judith called the sheriff's department and informed them that she was alive and well and living in California. Judith departed Washington state owing to domestic troubles with her husband, and she had 3 additional sons after she left. According to the investigation into her disappearance, it's unclear why she didn't alert her family or the sheriff's office until 2011, although it's been suggested that it was due to her husband's fear. Number 2. Lula Gillespie Miller. Lula Gillespie Miller vanished in Laurel, Indiana, in 1974, shortly after giving birth to her 3rd child and handing over custody to her parents. Her family had no communication with her for over 40 years, save for a letter from Richmond, Indiana. In 1975, authorities tracked Gillespie Miller almost 200 miles away in 2016, to a community in South Texas where she'd been living under an assumed name since the 1990s. She has the right to confidentiality concerning her absence, because she has never committed a crime, police said, though she did grant her daughter permission to provide her address, so they may be reunited. Number 1. Timothy Carney. Finally, there's the case of Timothy Carney, a 25-year-old man who vanished and was discovered alive 7 years later. Timothy Carney, 25, was last seen on September 28, 2004 in Butler, New Jersey by his roommate at their Butler Ridge apartment. He called his boss to say he'd be late for work, but no one has heard from him since. He withdrew $1,000 in cash from an ATM 4 days after he went missing, leading investigators to assume his absence was voluntary and not the result of foul play. He was a member of a church organization that his mother described as cultish and said was trying to keep him away from his family and friends at the time of his disappearance. Timothy Carney was discovered alive in September 2011 after being reported missing for 7 years. He was removed from the missing persons database, but he refused to reveal his whereabouts. What do you think about this video? Do let us know down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.